Today, I got two player props here on PrizePicks, one WNBA, one MLB player prop for Monday, July 28th. Before I get started, you guys, link in the description below of the video. Hop into the Discord, $9, 30 cents per month, 31 cents per day. So I post all the plays I'm making on PrizePicks, other cappers in there as well. Super positive community. Currently doing a promo right now for first-time members in the Discord. 20% off your first month using promo code TUFF. With the link in the description below, it comes out to like $6 for the full first 30 days in the Discord. So again, go ahead and check that out. I also want to mention I'm not a gambling expert, not financial advice. These are simply just plays I'm personally looking at making. Hopefully, give you guys some insight and analysis to make your own player prop decisions here. But let's get right into it. Like I said, one WNBA, one MLB player prop for today's slate. Let's not waste any time. Let's just get right into it. The first play I'm looking at here is going to be a WNBA prop. It's going to be Wnba over 19.5 fantasy score. We look at this one here on the game lineups. New York versus Dallas. And this is a home game for Dallas. Paige Becker's coming back to play. No Mieseman, no Sabali, and Brianna Stewart is out, which I think just gives so much upside here for Leone. In this one, I think the spread is actually 7.5, which is a pretty decent competitive game, I think, without Brianna Stewart, and then a 171.5 game total, which again bodes well for a fantasy score for a player like Leone. Now, when we look at her lines, she's over this line in 5 of her last 6 games, and I mean she's played really well over in 4 of her last 5 of her last 6, averaging 25.52 fantasy points here. And if we go to RotoWire and kind of look at how these lines break down defensively, she has so much upside. 5 stocks against the Sparks, 2 stocks, 1 stock, 1 stock, 3 stocks, 1 stock, 2 stocks. So the stock upside is obviously high, the low turnover percentage, and then obviously just the usage that she's going to see without Brianna Stewart on the floor, I think just gives her a high floor of, probably at minimum like 34 minutes in a competitive game. I mean, she's played 30 plus minutes in 8 of her last 8 games, 7 of her last 8 games, she's played 30 plus minutes. So if you kind of look at her lines, Leone in 2025, when she sees those type of minutes, we're talking about like 30 plus, right? She's over this line in 5 of 10, 5 of her last 5. And then obviously when you take into account Brianna Stewart being out, a lot of players, backup center out, Sabali, there's a lot of upside for her. And then this is a great matchup, right? We know the Dallas Wings allow the second most blocks to opponents, third most steals, third most points, just any sort of fantasy upside or fantasy statistic that fits into Leone Fibic's metric. Dallas is horrible at. So it is a great spot for her on the road. I think this game is pretty competitive, especially I think Dallas coming off a back-to-back, but Paige didn't play yesterday. So, it should be a great spot for Leone in this one at 19.5 fantasy. I think the lowest fantasy score total of any player on the board with a very solid hit rate. The second one's going to be MLB line. It is going to be a pitcher fantasy score. It's going to be an under. I like Dylan Cease under 34.5 pitcher fantasy score. Around this time of year, we obviously see a ton of players, ton of pitchers in trade rumors. And Dylan Cease has been in trade rumors over the last couple of years. Personally, don't know why the Padres would trade him. But if we look over on Outlier, again, there's a link in the description. You can get a 7-day free trial with Outlier. Under 7.5 pitching outs is sitting right now currently at minus 135 on BetMGM, as low as minus 145 on Fliff to go under 17.5 pitching outs. Obviously, it correlates to his fantasy score, but we look at his fantasy score line. Like this hit rate is pretty horrendous. So on the season, he's under this line in 15 of 21 games. Under 15 and 21, averaging 30.5 fantasy. So again, a 71% hit rate on this line doesn't really make sense for it to even be on the board at this time of the year, right? 15 of 21 under. And then pitching outs as well. If you talk about that's juiced on the under, right? And we talk about the hit rate for that line, 13 of 21. So the fantasy score to me here, as far as hit rate goes, is a better line to take. We look at the New York Mets, obviously a really good offense, a stacked offense since July 1st, the 8th highest OPS in baseball versus righties. Batting average up at the top as well, 13th highest. So on the upper half in all metrics offensively versus right-handers. And then since the All-Star break, I mean, these are pitchers' fantasy score totals, right-handers' fantasy score totals versus the Mets. Logan Webb, 6 fantasy points. Kyle Hendricks, 11. Nick Martinez, 30. Michael Wacha, 27. Sugano, 25. I mean, this is before the All-Star break. But, I mean, literally one pitcher in the month of July has cleared this. One right-handed pitcher in the month of July has cleared this line, and that was Freddie Peralta. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the last 8 starting right-handers have gone under this line that Dylan Cease has right here at 34.5. Also, Mets lineup has some success. Lindor hitting 333. Nemo 500. McNeil 375. Alonso 250. Torrens 500. Also, Dylan Cease has been getting kind of smashed by lefty bats, and I'm expecting the Mets to put out a ton of lefties in this one. Obviously, Nemo, Lindor will bat from the left side, Soto, McNeil, and Beatty. I mean, that's, what is that? Five? Yeah, five lefty bats in the first seven hitters. Also, the narrative of Dylan Cease being on the trade block, he could get pulled early. They're not going to obviously try to throw him 100 plus innings if they maybe already have a deal in place, whatever it may be. But I like the fade on this one at the under 34.5 fantasy score. So please drop a like, you guys. Hit the subscribe button. Check out all the links in the description below. And as always, let's cash.